Hi. I welcome to the Facebook live stream. I am really excited to dig into today's topic, which is fundraising. But before I do, I want to give everyone a proper hello. So if this is the first time that you're tuning in, will you go ahead and just type in new in the comments? I don't want to miss anybody. So um, just go ahead and type in new. Don't be shy. It's great group, great Facebook live information. So go ahead and type in new. Um, so today I'm going to be talking about, like I said, fundraising in 2018 and like a solution for common PTA and PTO fundraising issues. So I am Christina Heideck. I am sorry, just got a haircut. And my hair is like really floppy today. I'm Christina Heideck, and I'm the leader of the Superstar um, group here, and I'm also a longtime PTA volunteer. And um, yeah, I started this group because I felt like there needed to be more support for PTA and PTO volunteers, and I really wasn't seeing the kind of advice that I needed out there, which was reality based, somebody who actually had boots on the ground, knew what they were talking about, and could provide solutions tailored to me. I wasn't seeing that, so I thought I'll just start it myself. So, just if you're new again, that's just a little background on on about me. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I just gotta ask you to be honest about this. On a scale of 1 to 10, where one is you don't really feel very confident at all, or 10 is like you're rocking it and you could probably say what I'm about to tell you. Like, how confident are you about fundraising for your PTA or PTO? So 1 to 10, tell me how you're feeling. Okay, so I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're probably not at a 10. So it's pretty safe to say I don't even think I'm at a 10. I'm probably close to a 9, maybe a 9.5, but I always think there's something to be learning. Um, so today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 tips that I use myself that will help you really take action and feel more confident about fundraising for your PTA and PTO. And I remember when I first took on the the fundraising, the first fundraising role for my PTA, and it was back when I was president. And again, if you remember my story, maybe I'll just recap it real quick right here. My son started school. I went to maybe 4 PTA meetings the entire first year that he was in kindergarten, and by May, I had just been elected and installed as the PTA president for the upcoming year. So it's someone with not a lot of history in the group, didn't really know what I was doing, and here I was in charge of the PTA for this, 400 kid elementary school. It was a little daunting, little daunting. So fast forward about 6 months then, um, and I started. That's fair, probably in October, November ish. This particular PTA held a carnival every year that they had been using it more as a fundraiser than as a fundraiser. They were making maybe $500. And this was a pretty huge event. It was a day-long event, and it took many weeks and months and many hours to make this event happen, to put this event on. And when I heard that, like, had only been making $500, and I looked at the amount of work that was involved and the amount of time that it would take to earn that measly $500, I thought there's got to be a better way. Like, this is way too much work, and I'm not willing to put in all that work to earn just that little amount of money. So what I did was I kind of flipped the whole way that they had been handling this event kind of on its head. So they had been doing a Chinese raffle. They had been selling event tickets so you could earn little prizes. And they had like a kitchen where they would just sell pizza and hot dogs and nachos and that kind of stuff. Um, and like I said, they were only making $500 from this humongous event that took weeks and weeks to prepare for. So you had to go and get solicit local organizations and businesses rather for donations. So you actually had to get, I think in the past they had just, for the most part, mailed letters to different vendors and businesses and hope that they would get a response. And for, I believe for some of the larger ones, like maybe Severance Hall, which is like a local orchestra or a local venue where the orchestra is here in Cleveland, they got orchestra tickets. But for some of the maybe restaurants in the area, that's not really an effective way to do it. So they weren't really getting many donations from those type of businesses. And the other thing they were doing is, like I mentioned, they were having the Chinese raffle, which was great, but somebody um, could buy a well, they were buying a like $1 ticket and putting it in the pool pass like bucket, and they were getting the pool pass, which they would otherwise have to pay the city like almost $200 for. They were getting it for $1, and I thought, well, it's a really good deal for them. It's a really good deal for me if I win that. But people are going to buy a pool pass anyway, so why shouldn't we get more from these families? So I started just putting in like different strategies. So I started a different approach to, um, you know, going out and soliciting donations. I put in a way different strategy for, and really got rid of the Chinese raffle and turned it into a silent auction. Um, and then I didn't do much in the kitchen for that year. Later on, I made a change that would prove really pivotal. um, but in the end, after all was said and done, we ended up tripling our money. So instead of making $500 that year, we made $1,500. I was so ecstatic because I thought, wow, a 3x increase in profits for like a 1 day event, like that is really sweet. And then I was like, okay, this is great, like $1,500, but that was still a lot of work. So how can we make it better, even more better next year? Um, and so the next year um, I used some of the same strategies, but then I just continued to tweak it and to tweak it. And how I got there was really, like I said, developing these strategies, but like looking at what was working and what wasn't working. And I was tracking that information. So, and you can't just track all of the information because it's way too much information. Like you have to be very strategic about what information matters and what information can carry over year to year, because sometimes with these annual events, you might have a one-time event that isn't going to be repeated in the future. And so you can't count on that for income or attendance. Um, and so there's a lot of things that go into that, into tracking the right information. So I guess that was like a really long way of saying that tip number one is don't be afraid to mix things up. If they need it. If they don't need it, I am so not a fan of like just reinventing the wheel just for the sake of doing that. Like you have to have a good reason. In my case, I was unsatisfied with the amount of work that I was going to have to be putting into this event to earn $500. Like at that point, I didn't really have $500 just to, give to the PTA, but I would have probably rather just written a check and just been like, let's forget this. Can I just give you a check for $500 and we'll just say that we didn't? Okay, we're good. Um, the the second tip, which was buried in that example too, was that you have to know what's working with your fundraising and what's not, so that you know whether you need to repeat it or whether you need to change things. And the tracking part is so key, and so many groups don't do that. So they're just guessing. They have no idea if something's working or not. They have no idea why. If they had a successful fundraiser, they might not know why. Was it the products? Was it that one parent wanted, went gung ho and took the catalog to work and got everybody and their mother to buy, or were they feeling very generous because they just won at the casino and they had some extra money um, to give away? You just don't know that unless you're tracking it. And then the third tip I would give about fundraising is that it shouldn't be a one man or one woman job. Like, that's too big of a responsibility to put on any one person, because even if they're super successful, they're going to have stomach ulcers after the year is done, and they're not going to want to do it again. And that's just no way to be, because all of the jobs in PTAs and PTOs are volunteer positions, as you know, and it's just going to get to a point where it's not going to be worth it for them to do. So even if you have one really successful year, you might not be able to have that again without the right person in place. Then you come to the issue of, if you don't have the right person in place, what do you do? What information do you give them? And that's where today I want to come up. I want to tell you the solution that I have that will give all of those answers to the person who is just signed up or agreed to be the fundraising chair, but they really don't know what they're supposed to be doing it, or what they're supposed to be doing, or how they're supposed to be doing it. So, excuse me. So in that, I've created this system out of years of volunteering in for the PTAs in my kids' districts. And after I was fundraising chair for 1 year, and then I decided I wanted to try my hand at family events, which is something I really love doing. So my passion was more there, but I had success as a fundraising chair and thought, okay, time to move on and master something else. So I kind of want to get into what the solution is, because I've been talking about fundraising and all the different challenges for the past few weeks, and I just want to come full circle and say, hey, I have a solution that'll solve all of those problems, and that is the fabulous fundraising guide for PTAs and PTOs. And so this is a 49-page guide, and it has 25 pages of very, very specific guidance and strategies. And then it has 24 pages of the trackers that I mentioned earlier, and the checklists, and even like the exact wording you should be using to get donations from companies and restaurants and local merchants. And then even the letter that you should send after you get the donation to set yourself up so that you can get a donation next year. Because just because you get it one time doesn't mean you're going to get it the next year. You really have to treat the donors with a lot of respect, but also thank them in the right way, so that when you come back around next year and say, hey, thank you so much for donating, blah, 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 $25 gift certificate to your store, that they're more than willing just to give you another $25 the next year. So I'm sure you want to know where to check this bad boy out. I dropped the link in the description, and it's bit.ly/fab fundraiser. So if you go to that URL and type that in, it's bit.ly/fab fundraiser, you'll go to the page where you can actually order this. And so what is inside the fundraising guide? I have really specific information on like the exact time that you should be holding a fundraiser. Like, there's definitely a good time to do it, and there's definitely a really bad time to do it. And timing, like I said, timing is everything. So you really want to be sure that your fundraiser is primed and timed to perfection. And I also given there the timeline for having a successful fundraiser. And here's a little spoiler alert. It's not planning everything out a month before the fundraising packets go home. Like, it's too late. If you've waited until then, you've put yourself in a hole, and it's going to be hard to dig out, and it's going to be really frustrating. So you need to follow this timeline that I have set up, because it totally works. I've used it myself twice, and it works. Also in the guide is like how to pick the right fundraiser. And I know that earlier in the month, I talked about like how to avoid picking the wrong one, but now I'm going to go into how to pick the right one. I'm also going to do a deep dive into incentives. Like, again, what incentives work? Which ones should you stay away from? What makes sense? right now in 2018 with everything going on where people can just order stuff from Amazon in a hot minute and it be delivered. Like what you offer as an incentive does matter. It can um, be the difference between your group making your fundraising goal and your group totally falling flat on its face and having to come up with a plan B. The other thing that I touch on, or one of the other things, because I touch on so many things in here, it's like how to get teachers and staff involved. And again, there for sure is a wrong way. And the wrong way, I will just tell you right now, is to expect them to purchase things from your fundraiser. Like that is the wrong way. If that is how you think teachers and staff should be involved in fundraising for your PTO, you are wrong. And I'm not afraid to say that. Like you're missing the boat on this. And in the fundraising guide, I do go into the right way, like exactly how they should be involved and exactly the type of support that you should ask from them. And then of course I also go into fundraising best practices because those are all tried and true from my personal experience, as well as seeing what other fundraising chairs in my PTAs have done well and what they missed the boat on or missed the mark on. Okay, so in the 24 pages of the worksheets, the planning worksheets, there's an idea tracker, there's a fundraising tracker, because I know, especially in this group, so many people share really great ideas for different fundraisers. And so this just gives you a place to like keep track of all of them. And so that you can investigate the ones that pique your interest and then figure out whether it's really going to work for your group or not. Again, no sense in reinventing the wheel. If another group in a different area has had really good success with a fundraiser, see if it'll work for you, but you need to keep track of everything. And my favorite part of all of the worksheets really are the trackers and the summary lists that are in there, because again, I referred to this earlier about groups that just kind of try to step and repeat things, or I should say rinse and repeat, right? Maybe that makes more sense in the dancing metaphor, but they just try and rinse and repeat, and they have no idea if they're rinsing in the same way and if they're repeating, like if they're doing everything that was so successful the last time. You can try and copy it, but if you're guessing, it's not going to be so good. So the tracking forms in this fundraising guide really spell out exactly what you should be paying attention to, and exactly will help you identify what really worked. So because it is Valentine's Day and because I do love all of you superstars so much, I have a special little something for you guys. So for the next 2 days, so until Friday at midnight, you can save 25% off of this fabulous fundraising guide. So, and you can get that discount when you enter fundraising star, one word, at checkout. When you go to my shop, which is, you can find the page to order the fundraising guide at bit.ly/fab fundraiser. So it's bit.ly/fab fundraiser. So I hope you check it out. I know it's going to help you be a more confident leader, a more competent fundraiser, and I want to hear all of your success stories after you use the strategies that are in the guide to help with your next fundraiser. So don't be shy about telling me about all of your success and sharing it in the group, because it's all goodness. So again, if you want to get the save 25%, you enter fundraising star, just one word, at checkout when you visit bit.ly/fab fundraiser. So if you have any questions, just comment below, and I'll hang out in the group after I end the broadcast for a couple minutes, and more than a couple minutes, but for a while, to answer any questions you might have. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be back next week. I forget what I said I was going to talk about, so it'll just be a surprise, but it's going to be something good, and it's not related to fundraising. I'm going to move on to a new topic. So have a good rest of your Valentine's Day.